So it looks like Clementine Ford has been fired. Oh, sorry, quit. Let's have a look. Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Heiser Says. So, Clementine Ford, feminist author, provocateur, and outright, frankly, rude person in the media, is gone from the news, from a newspaper she was writing for. So, controversial columnist Clementine Ford quits in spectacular foul-mouthed tirade against newspaper. Now just think about this, okay? Before we read anything of this article, think about how immature, I nearly spilled my coffee, how immature and unprofessional her behavior is right now. That she's gone on Twitter and she's just ranting and raving like a lunatic. Would you want your brand associated with someone like this? Really? Why was Lifeline even considering having a professional relationship with this lady? What businesses would want to be associated with this? It's just unprofessional. So controversial newspaper columnist and author Clementine Ford has quit in spectacular fashion. I wonder if she's quit. I wouldn't call that spectacular. I'd say that immature, in a childish and immature fashion, unleashing a foul-mouthed triad at her now former employer. In a series of explosive tweets, Ford accused the now 9-0 news organization of being dead, accused its new managing director of being a Liberal Party stooge, spoke about having to eat S every day, and dubbed PM Scott Morrison a effing disgrace. Okay? So, if you quit, wouldn't you do it a bit classier? I don't know. You let me know in the comments what you think when you've quit, guys. If you've quit from a job, how have you done it? Do you want to burn your bridges or not? The 38-year-old, oh, here we go, who worked for the company for 7 years, concluded her diatribe with a kiss emojis and blunt farewell. Bye-bye, Fairfax. That's not what she said. The Wednesday night Twitter rant began with an out-of-the-blue message in which she wrote, "Scott Morrison is a effing disgrace. Always will be. Always has been, always will be." Okay, well, not really. If you think about it, he's doing a pretty good job responding to the mood of the public. He's not perfect as a leader. I don't know if he'll save us from a socialist taste of Labour. Maybe a generation needs to learn what a recession Australia had to have is like. Thumbs up if you get that reference. So she continued. Also, here's some tea, and I can spill it now that I've resigned from Fairfax. In September, they threatened to fire me because I had called transphobic Scott Morrison a effing disgrace on Twitter. And they said that new policy was that they didn't disrespect the office of the PM. See, that's the thing. She's just being provocative to get attention. And you can make an argument critical of some of the policies or some of the things that the PM has to say without disrespecting the office. And just the way, writing rubbish like this is just going to turn people off. She's not interested in actually having a dialogue. You see all the stuff she says. She's just looking for attention. I mean, her relevance is going to fade the older she gets. I asked if it would be acceptable for me to call him a disgrace. Instead, the person disciplining, that's funny, said that they'd need to check. Maybe be critical of what he's saying. But maybe you do get to the point where you decide that salary with the same working conditions just aren't enough. Anyway, she's just rambling. Whoop-de-doo. But on a more serious note, and as I said then, why are Fairfax allowing their policies to be dictated by a news source wholly unconnected with them? They're not. They're just wanting you to not act like a prat, to not say rude and disgusting, vulgar things that's going to alienate them from a large portion of the consumer market that's reading the paper. Twitter, the people who read this stuff, are not the same people that are buying the papers that are reading the news. What demographic? Who's getting their advertising? I mean, Twitter, how many views does Twitter get? How many clicks do you get from that? Ford alleged that Nine newspaper boss James Chessel was protecting the Liberal brand, given he was once an advisor to former Treasurer Joe Hockey. I'm not the only writer who's had pieces knocked back that were critical of other news sources' practices and elevating of bigotry. The reason we don't criticize the competition. And this too, which I heard consistently over the last year or two, when they go low, we go high. So they're trying to push them to the high ground maneuver, and she can't really handle that. It's out of her scope, her skill set. Her skill set is just going low. When they go low, I go lower. You can see that in her tweets, in the way she writes, and writing, have you killed a man on signatures. That's just her strategy. She's not a persuader. She's a shocker. And there's a whole bunch of SJW feminists that just rally to her because I'd say she's a dumb version of Yiannopoulos, maybe, for her cause. Fairfax is dead, that's a fact. So, Ford accused the PM of engaging in transphobic BS and alleged she was reprimanded for disrespecting Mr. Morrison. Well, yeah, she was. There was no actual basis to what she said. It was just a rude tweet. If she was specific and, tried to actually think of a valid argument to criticize him, to engage in a debate, to be constructive, then that wouldn't be disrespecting Mr. Morrison. You could say, Mr. Morrison, I disagree with this policy. I disagree with this policy. We need to address this. This is a step backwards. Whatever. But no, she just, did a tweet that you would get from a teenager, that you'd expect from a annoyed, pissed off teenager. From what was translated to me, Fairfax were very concerned the Australian would write an article about it, so needed to show some disciplinary action had been taken. Fine, give me 4 weeks paid leave, I said. Free money, woo. Yeah, they should have gotten rid of her. But on a more serious note, I've already read that one. So, what do you reckon? Ford also detailed her shitty salary and shitty working conditions and said she would rather take the risk of not making rent next month to not eat their shit again. You're 38 years old. Don't you own a house yet? Husband and kids? Or aren't you paying one off to the bank? Anyway, this morning I thought being a published feminist success story would pay better. Maybe well, wait a minute. Yeah, look at the HuffPost. I know what this is. She's going to learn to code. Of course, that's what it is. She's going to learn to code. Fantastic. It makes sense. This morning she added to the series of tweets saying that she expected at some point a line would be trotted out how I was difficult. Well, yeah, but Ford insisted she was a loyal and committed contributor. She doesn't sound like a loyal and committed contributor. She doesn't sound like someone who's engaging in professional behavior. It all seems very immature. Nine completed a takeover of the Sydney Morning Herald, The Age, and other Fairfax assets last year as a part of a $4 billion deal. Monique Farmer, life editor of the two newspapers, issued a statement following Ford's dummy spill. Clementine Ford has been a contributor for the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age for the past 7 years, and we thank her for her work over that time. So, I think a lot of people will be quite happy that we won't have to listen to her opinion pieces, shall we say, in the two major newspapers in this country. What do you think? Do you think it's fair that she was fired? Do you think she should learn to code? Do you think she'd actually be able to code? Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Are you happy to see her go? Are you going to miss her articles? Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all again tomorrow. Bye for now.